And he was afraid they were going to kill him too. So he just figured that he deserved. So we got a Korean. So we said, okay.
So was he happy to have been sort of rescued by you guys?
I talked to the corpsman that could attend him, and I said, Doc, is that guy going to live? He said, oh yeah. He says, he'll live. He says, that shot in the leg that wasn't much. He said it passed right through and it didn't break any bones or anything. He says, I took a rifle cleaning rod and put some patches on the end of it and soaked them in iodine, and I ran it through there 2 or 3 times, and so it's going to be okay. So that was my prisoner.
Was there anything that stood out for you when you were in the Korean War?
Well, I guess.
If you're okay with it.
Well, I'll tell you another story. My grandchildren sometimes come to me and say, tell us a story, Grandpa, you know, and I can't just dream up a story real quickly, so sometimes they get mad at me. Anyway, you know, many people think about, did you ever shoot anybody in the service? Did you ever shoot anybody? Did you kill anybody? You know, and nobody wants to talk about that. That's something you just want to put in the back of your head and forget about. But I'll tell you this story. In Korea, we had set up a defense line. And when you set up a pretty strong defense line, you dig in and wire in your main line of resistance. Then in front of that, you put out combat outposts. And their duty is to stay and fight and cause the enemy to, assemble his units for an attack. And when you move your units out, you lose a lot of control. And so that's the purpose for a combat outpost. And in front of a combat outpost, you have an outpost. And their job is more to watch and to listen and to look. Then in front of that, you normally set out a listening post or something like that. So one night, this night we had set up, and the North Koreans came in and attacked us. And I had gone out in front to one of the combat outposts to see how they were getting along. And we got a fairly strong attack that night. And one of the North Koreans just was determined he was going to get into our position there. And he just came and was, you know, he was beckoning the rest of the people, his soldiers on and that sort of thing, and I shot him. Well, I went out the next day, and we were always told that you should search the bodies of the dead enemy, whether, you know, whoever they may be, because you might find diaries, you might find letters from home or to home, you might find a journal, you might find a map. There are many things that you could find on the body of a dead soldier that the intelligence people could use. You know, a letter home explains a unit's situation. Are they happy? Do they have good morale? That sort of thing. A letter from home could tell you how the people at home are taking the war. That sort of thing. Anyways, I searched this guy's body. I was interested. He was an officer. He was a North Korean officer. And in his breast pocket, there was a folder, and it was kind of like 2 playing cards, but a little bit larger, and they were hooked together like a book. And if you opened it, there was nothing in there, but it was like the front and rear cover of a book, and it closed up like this. And on the front of it, in beautiful calligraphy, and this was really fine paper, it said, I think he was a lieutenant, whatever his name was. And we opened it up. I had taken this back to the interpreter we have with us, something. And I had taken this back, and we opened it up and looked at it. And it said, Lieutenant so-and-so, who is a hero of the North Korean Democratic People's Republic. And because you are a hero, your family has been awarded an oxen. And I thought about that, you know, his family had been awarded an oxen. Now, was this 2 old people who were trying to scratch out a little living on a little farm somewhere? Was this his young wife? who had 5 children, and she was given an oxen so she could support herself maybe. You know, there are a lot of things you could think about that. So I did, I thought about it, and then I put it away and forgot about it. So, you know, there are times when things occur that you think, I don't get on to think about that. So you do.
You don't sound very regretful about your service. If you were to go back, would you do it again, or would you change anything at all?
Well, I wouldn't, you know, because I know what I'm doing. But I really think that maybe over the past, this is philosophizing, and I don't know whether you all want to record this or not. But I think over the last 50 or 60 years, the United States has been too prone to jump into a war. You know, these people aren't doing what we want them to, let's go beat them up. And I'm not sure that's the right thing. I think maybe by good diplomacy and statescraft, we probably, in many cases, could accomplish the same thing we wanted to. And I think if I were your age and was thinking about what I wanted to do, I'd look at something like that. Maybe the State Department, maybe something where you went to a small country and you helped those people live better, so that, you know, they didn't get mad at their neighbors and want to get what their neighbors had. To help the smaller countries take care of themselves, because that's where you get into a lot of trouble. Do those things, or teach school. That's a damn good thing to do. Because you can pass on a lot of good information if you want to teach school. And, you know, I taught school at the Naval Academy, and I taught at the Marine Corps War College and that sort of stuff. And I liked it. I really did enjoy it. I didn't mind it. Now, at the Naval Academy, that's the best place in the world to teach, because you never have more than 14 midshipmen in a class, and they're well disciplined. So it's a good place to teach. So that's what I think. I think wars in many cases are very senseless, and it's, you know, it's not the soldiers or the airmen or the whatever it may be. So much of the suffering is really the civilians back home. Boy, I was in, I'm rambling on like an old man, but old men do that. But I was in Tokyo in 1945, right after the war was over, in the Daiichi building, which was right across from the palace. And I guess they saved it for MacArthur's headquarters or something like that anyway. But Tokyo was just about level. It was just completely burned out. And I had read later on that those firebombs in Tokyo had killed more than 100,000 people. Now, those were women and kids and young men. You know, the firebomb, you know, they were there.